And then we will probably start in a minute or two. Let's see
Okay,
here.
sounds good.
Let's see. You did undergrad at Berkeley, right?
I did, yes.
What did you study?
When?
What did you study?
Oh, I studied applied math.
Oh, applied. Oh, I considered applied math. I
Oh,
actually
yeah?
applied for applied math for a couple of the other schools I applied to a few years ago,
Okay.
but I did something else.
Oh, yeah. What are you studying?
I'm doing EECS, so electrical
Okay.
engineering, computer science.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let's see. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I didn't realize I would get into to coding early on. Like I've always done math stuff in high
Yeah.
school,
Mm-hmm.
but yes, indeed. Okay, let's see. Let me make sure. Oops, I opened up here.
All right.
Give me 1 second. Let's see here. Any other plans for the rest of the day?
No, just gonna, get to meet a few people here and then kind of take it easy for the rest of the day.
Gotcha.
Yourself?
Yeah, I have to go. I'm actually in the process of moving right now, so I have to go to my previous house and pick up some stuff.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
Just a new apartment or?
Yeah, I'm moving dorms, and it's been a challenge.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. All right. In the meantime, you're an insurance actuary, is that right?
That's right.
I see. So you basically like determine uncertainties in like statistics, and I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Yeah, just looking at data and help the company decide who's risky, who's not, how much to charge them, what's the market segment that's worth going into, stuff like that.
I see. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, I think we'll get started here. So I already asked you a bit of information in regards to this, but what does it actually mean to be an actuary, and how did you get started on that career path?
Sure. So an actuary is one of those things that's a bit hard to define in the specifics. But there are a few definitions floating around. They're fun to read. I'll give you a few. One is that an actuary is a trusted advisor. That's a pretty simple one. But here's a more elaborate one. An actuary synthesizes data analysis, statistics, business, and economic knowledge to make educated guesses about the future, quantify potential risks, and give strategic advice to decision makers, following a strict code of professionalism. So that's the much longer one. And then here's a fun one. An actuary is part data scientist, part statistician, part economist, part business person, and part fortune teller.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Which one do you most define yourself with?
Well, I do, really, it's a little bit of all of that. Typically a company will have a business problem which you're trying to answer, and it always starts from the data, right? It's always quantitative. So you kind of go into data, you analyze it, apply statistical concepts to it, but then you got to think about the bigger picture. What does the business look like? What does the market look like? And then all of that allows you to kind of take a guess at the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen, and your guess is as good as mine, but maybe not if I have data to back me up.
Very cool. Sounds like a pretty blended piece of expertise here. So did you know that you were going to enter the insurance industry when you were at school?
Oh, absolutely not. Think my freshman year in college, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I've always known that I liked math.
Hmm.
So, I had a lot of interest. I thought that math is one of those things that could be applied to many, many different disciplines.
Hmm.
So I was interested in astrophysics. I was interested in cognitive science, philosophy, statistics. You know, for that reason, I decided to major in applied math. So
Hmm. I see. Very cool. How did you get started in being an actuary?
I went to Cal, and there is a pretty good organization on campus called the Cal Actuarial League. So I got involved, got to know what an actuary does, got really interested in it, and then took essentially became a member in the club, and then became an officer, and then eventually led the club
Oh,
in my
really?
final year. So
Oh,
yeah,
good for you.
so that's how I got into it.
Mhm. Very cool. So I'm imagining there's a lot of stats and statistics that you learn to be an actuary based on like the uncertainty aspect. But how did the
Yes.
math in particular that you learned in college apply to your position as an actuary?
Oh, yeah. So for one, the actuarial credential process requires candidates to pass a series of exams, uh,
Mm,
about 9 to 10, depending on your track. Um, and these exams are highly technical in nature, require solid understanding of probabilistic and financial concepts.
mm,
Um, in addition, math and stats are essentially everywhere nowadays, in any type of modeling or data analysis work, um, especially in this business of trying to predict the future. So
I see. Very cool. What do you mean by saying how to predict the future?
um,
More
so
about-
take insurance as an example. You pay a premium to the insurance company in hoping that in the event that something unfortunate happens, the insurance company will kind of pay you back. um,
Mhm.
and what exactly is going to happen in the future, or if it's going to happen at all, nobody really knows. So it's all about looking at who you are, what are your risk characteristics, and compare that with a group of people who are similar to you, right? And based off of that, you're able to take an educated guess. You will not be right all the time in the individual cases. However, if you have a lot of these policyholders, then you're able to kind of get a pretty accurate estimate as a group. And so that's the idea.
I see. When you were in college, what was your salary expectation, majoring in applied math?
To be honest, I didn't really think about that, at least not in my first couple years in college. Um,
Mm,
but part of what drew me to the actuarial profession is that obviously you get compensated fairly well,
mm,
and the income is very steady, right? And so eventually I was like, yeah, you know what, in the Bay Area, in order to do pretty well and be comfortable and all that, I would expect eventually a six-figure job.
mm,
And an actuarial profession looks to me like is a good way to achieve that goal.
mm.
So
Yeah, I agree. It must be a lot of fun being. Hey, Tim, you there?
hey, yeah, I'm sorry. It's the I think you got cut out a little bit there.
Um, can you see the chat?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Math major. If you have any experience with other fields related to math, Not too much, not too much. This is actuarial profession is my sole profession. I do also tutor math on the side. So that can always be like a nice side income, if you will. Does that answer the question?
Well, let's hope so.
Okay.
Okay. Did you ever consider a pure mathematics degree?
I did think about that. I just thought that I wanted to be kind of the guy who applies the concepts in
Hmm.
real world problems. I mean, theorizing about things also is kind of fun, honestly.
Hmm.
But relatively speaking, I enjoy the process of working in the business world and
Hmm.
want to make sure I'm applying those concepts in the right field.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I was going down that rabbit hole too, considering the pure math world and thinking if
Right.
I really wanted to do math research later on
Yeah.
in grad school, and I decided, well, I didn't do math, but yeah,
Right.
I see what you mean. Looks like we have one more question here.
What is applied math? Well, funny that you ask. My understanding is that at Cal, at least, there actually isn't too much of a difference. I think as an applied math major, you take all of the courses that a pure math major would take, but then on top of that, you pick a concentration, right? So mine was actuarial science, and so it's like on top of the pure math classes, you will have to take a few stats classes, or if you're into like the whole computer science and stuff like that, then you will also need to make up for those classes. So it's more classes to take.
Hmm. Hmm. Very cool. All right. So you talked a bit about targeting a six-figure job as an insurance actuary, but do you have any other potential leads or thoughts on earning six figures with a math degree in different industries?
Sure. I think that at the end of the day, if you can demonstrate to your job interviewer that you have the right technical abilities, that you can think critically about data, that you have the what I call perseverance. You're willing to struggle through challenges or just problems that are really hard to solve. That's enough to get you started in any profession, any quantitative profession, I should say, right? But then, once you get more experience, um, you start to get into higher levels, you start to manage people, and that's really how you get to that six-figure salary.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Looks like we have another question here.
Yeah. Again, I think it just depends on what you want to do. I have definitely seen like a physics major later on go be a banker, right? So what you study in college is correlated with what you might do in the future, but not always directly. So I would say while you're in college, you're paying your tuition, you're spending, 4 years in school, you might as well study something that you're truly passionate about. Um, and then just, in terms of jobs and profession, that's a whole nother story, which you have plenty of time to figure out and kind of explore.
Looks like we have a question in the Q&A here. Do you want to
Sorry,
answer that one live?
which question is this? Is this the math versus physics?
Oh no, this is it's in under the Q&A tab, if you see at the bottom. I can read it to you if you need.
Okay, yeah, I can answer that one. So I did 3 exams while I was in school. And I've had a couple internship experiences. So I would consider that to be kind of like a standard background for an entry-level candidate. So something like 2 to 3 exams, at least 1 internship will get you pretty far. And that initial internship is always the hardest thing to get. it's all the jobs, like the positions are easier. It's easier to get hired if you already know somebody. And as a student in school, you probably start out not knowing anybody, which is why it is crucial for you to get involved in these professional organizations on campus, such as the Cal Actuarial League. You get to meet people at higher levels. So like juniors and seniors who may have had internships and could help you in that regard. Hope that helps.
Is that how you got your first internship?
Pretty much, the professional organization organizes events, having company representatives go on campus and recruit. So those are really good opportunities.
I see. Let's see here. One more question in the Q&A.
Yeah, I see. I would say an actuarial internship would be the preferred scenario. However, really any type of working environment, like any environment where you get to work, in a team and is somewhat quantitative, allows you to look at data, where it really gets you further than, having nothing at all.
Gotcha. Let's see. We have one more in the chat, looks like.
Yeah, okay. I did not, so again, I was pretty confused as a freshman. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Really took a bunch of courses and in a non-coherent fashion. But once I kind of fixated on having an actuarial profession, that was it. Like I just like zone in it and build up my resume just for the purpose of that. And I think that really helps when you apply for a job, is to have a focused resume. Yeah. Fortunately, like I think for most people, there's enough time to figure that out.
When did you figure it out?
I figured it out in sophomore year. I took a probability class and really loved it. And that, well,
Probability.
I don't, what does that expression mean, Alex?
I used to be a math major, but yeah, stats and probability are not my thing. Sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. No, I really enjoyed that probability class. And in that class, I met a few people involved in the Cal Actuarial League, and that's how it all happened. So.
Very cool. No offense, by the way. Statistics are great and very useful, though I'm just really bad at them. How would you advise someone who wants to earn a high-paying job, but specifically wants to earn it with a pure mathematics degree?
My advice would be to explore. You have a passion. You like a subject that is highly applicable to a lot of many fields, and it would be a shame for you to not utilize that. So, like I said, as a confused freshman, I took a bunch of classes, astrophysics, comp sci, computer science, physics, you name it. And eventually I, stumbled upon statistics and met a few people that are relevant that helped me got my first internship. So these things kind of happen, I think, kind of randomly. And it just helps for you to have a wide exposure of things. But then once you do decide on a profession, then you should make sure that you build up a really focused resume so that will help you to get a job. How did I decide on Cal for math? So again, didn't really declare a major when I applied. And I was basically just applying to the best schools that I could get into that's not private, because honestly, private schools cost a lot. And the best public school, I believe, in the area is UC Berkeley, and that's why I took it. And in retrospect, I feel like that was a really good decision, just because, it allowed me to get give me a chance to explore different things here at Cal, knowing the prestigious professors and you know, company representatives are more likely to come here to recruit talents. So stuff like that.
Okay, looks like we have 2 questions in the Q&A.
Okay. A candidate with 4 to 5 exams with no internship in undergrad. Okay, so definitely the employers would expect the number of exams to kind of match the amount of experience you have. And someone with 4 to 5 exams, typically we would expect you to have at least an internship or even a full-time job by now. That being said, a lot of that is actually about attitude, because if you're somebody with 4 to 5 exams, you demand a certain amount of compensation in the market, and that's really the roadblock to the employer. But if you're able to get past that, right? If you're able to say, well, I have not had any experience, I'm here to learn, and you're willing to, you know, forego that salary maybe in the initial years, not all of it, but, you know, maybe like take a salary that's more comparable to someone with 2 to 3 exams, at least in the initial years, that will help you a lot. So hopefully that helps. And then I think that's it.
Mm-hmm. The second one was just a follow-up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting ready to wrap it up here. Just one more question. How did you leverage your degree in your job interviews?
So I touched upon this a little bit before, but essentially, you know, this is a degree that is really technical, applied math, right? So I was able to convince my job interviewers that, 1, I have the critical thinking skills, and 2, I know what struggling feels like. So, you know, being able to excel at math requires a very logical way of thinking about the abstract and being very persistent at it, even when the struggle is real, right? So a lot of that attitude actually translates pretty well when thinking about problems in the business world.
Interesting. I agree. All right. So if we have no further questions, I think we'll wrap it up here. Anything else you want to say, Tim, in regards to people in college or people thinking about an actuary position?
Yeah, I would say definitely explore, and I would shamelessly take maybe 30 seconds to promote the profession a bit. So as an actuary, the process of studying for exams and working at the same time can be extremely difficult. However, I do want to say that the exam expenses are fully paid for by your employer, and you get paid time off work to study. On top of all that, you're paid raises and bonuses every time you pass an exam. Finally, once you do obtain your credential so that you're no longer studying for an exam, an actuary typically enjoys a very good income level, a really good work-life balance, and generally report a high level of satisfaction with the job. So, you know, I would be more than happy to talk about the profession a little more with anyone who's interested.
Cool. Okay, we have one more question in the Q&A, looks like.
Okay. Fullerton in the fall studying actuarial science. I have not heard if their program is good. I would think that any actuarial program would at least satisfy the basic curriculum, you know, some stats, some math, some econ. And I do know that a lot of companies recruit at Fullerton as well. So I think that that would be a good place for you to be.
Cool. No, I want to be an actuary now. All right. Looks like we have no further questions here. So thank you very much, Tim, for coming on. Yeah. If people have any further questions, can they reach you anywhere? Is that possible?
Yeah. I think you have my email address, Alex. So I don't know what's the best way to distribute it. Maybe in the chat. Yep, there you go. So feel free to email me any questions. Pleasure to speak with you and meet you all.
Cool. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. All right.